Hey folks, welcome back. We have a update for you guys. There's a pretty decent sized patch for Tarkov that has both stuff for PvP and PvE for a change, as well as a couple other news updates for the game and an update for Arena. So let's not waste any time and get right into it. Okay, so as of making this video, the servers are down. They're going to be down for about 5 hours. This is Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on where you live. And by the time you're watching this video, they'll probably be back up anyway, so wouldn't worry about that too much. Let's get into the patch notes. They put them on the fancy new website for the first time. They do Arena like this. This is the first time I think I've seen the Tarkov ones like this, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's get right into it though. Changes: optimize the performance on customs. Have to wait and see how impactful this is. It doesn't keep me from playing, but I know a lot of people are struggling. Like, customs kind of became the new streets almost, or some people can't even play the map. So we'll see tomorrow. We'll see in the comments down below. I'm sure lots of people will mention whether they can or they cannot play. My guess is it's probably going to be incremental small steps. This isn't going to be like one big fix and all of a sudden customs works for everybody, but we'll see. Optimize the in-raid memory consumption on all locations. Big for anybody who doesn't have a monster PC. Again, I don't know if this has to do with memory leaks. I don't know if this is just how much memory is being used to render some of the maps. Just gonna have to wait and see. Optimize the shadow quality settings for better performance on low NPCs. We will continue to work on fixes and changes to optimize and improve the technical state of the game in the upcoming updates. Usual blurb they throw in there. Some stuff in here now. This stuff has been here. This isn't like as of this patch, like they did it a week ago or a week and a half ago, but I guess they're throwing in the patch notes so we know officially. Either way, all bosses now have a 30% spawn chance. That's been the case for 2 weeks now, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's been that way for a little while. Increase the spawn chance for cultists in PvE and PvP modes. Reduce the spawn chance for partisan in PvE mode. I know this is a big hang up for a lot of you guys in PvE, that he shows up pretty much every raid and is just a pain in the neck to deal with. So that should help out a little bit for you PvE guys. Adjusted the spawn time for player scavs. They will now spawn no earlier than 17 minutes after the start of the raid on most of the locations. This excludes factory, reserve, and the low-level ground zero. Again, I'm pretty sure this was already in effect. I guess I could be wrong. The few scav raids I did, I was well past that timer, so I don't know. But either way, yeah, no more scavs at like 8 minutes into your raid, and they're spawning in Lexos or somewhere else in Resort or something like that before you can even get there. So that's kind of nice. Increase the chance of spawning with a better scav equipment if the player has a high standing with fence. So we talked about this already in the last video I did with the changes they were making to scavs. So if you want to see more detail to it, but basically if you have scav rep 1, fence rep, scav rep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, those are your increments and you get better gear with that. And the data miners already dug into it. They turned up the modifier higher on each and all of them. It's crazy now at 6s. I haven't played a ton of scav on 6 fence rep because I'm not there because I prestiged, so I think I'm like 2 or 3 right now. So keep an eye out on that. You might be getting better, not necessarily better gear in the aspect of better guns or armor, but I think you're going to spawn with stuff on you. Like even at scav rep 2, I spawned with an ASA. I jumped in factory just to reset my scav real quick because I was looking for something, and I ended up having an ace on my backpack that I didn't realize till I extracted, so that was kind of nice. Increased the current and maximum durability of all AI PMC weapons. So this is for PvE. I'm guessing that the durability, I don't really remember because it's been a while since I've played PvE, but I do remember the PMC weapons were kind of beat up. So hopefully this is better, more along the lines of what you have in PvP, and you can get decent guns from them. All sniper scavs and regular scavs of any difficulty now have 30 hit points. Again, this is a change they made a little while ago, but to point is a lot of people don't know that there are different levels of scav difficulty and sniper scav. There's 3 of each, I believe. Do snipers have more than 3? I can't remember. There's at least 3. There's 3 of regular scavs, and I think snipers have 3 levels of difficulty as well. And it used to be that the more difficult ones had more than 30 hit points. I don't remember what it was, but it got to be kind of a lot, to the point where some rounds wouldn't one hit them in the head. But they're all 30 hit points now, so most ammos at most distances are going to be able to one-shot a scav in the head, which is a good thing. AI PMCs, Raiders, and Rogues still have 35 hit points. So this is both for PvP and PvE side. The non-scav stuff have more hit points, and this matters. I think, is it 995 and Eaglenik? I think those kind of rounds matter here. They have a low enough damage, and APSX where you won't one tap the head. I have to double check on that. I mean, it might be 995 after a certain distance. Either way, increase the chances of AI PMCs to perceive an AI scav as hostile to 80%. Other chances of faction relationships remain the same on all locations. This is completely on PvE. Just has how to do with the bots interact with each other in your raids. So it should be interesting to see how much more lively or how much more tension this gets. Bots now turn their head toward the presumed target to obtain better visual. I have a short of a raider or of a rogue doing this to me on the mounted gun, so they've done it before. So I don't know if maybe that was just the rogues that did it. Now they're making all AI do it. It's gonna be kind of creepy, like spooky horror movie doll when you see a freaking AI scav just kind of turn and look at you. I'm kind of excited for it, but I'm also gonna be like, yeah, nope, that's kind of scary. Probably we'll have to wait and see how that comes out. Interesting change. The detection speed for hard difficulty bots is now equal to that of the normal difficulty bots. I'm guessing they had different detection speeds and they made them all the same now. And this should explain why there's some inconsistency, at least what I noticed. And sometimes bots would walk by you and not notice you, and other times it was just like old school, you know, the old AI before this last update where they instantly detect you and start blasting at you. So maybe that's what this was. We'll have to kind of wait and see and play through it. This is all part of, like I said, this whole AI overhaul they've done is going to take time to tweak and tune and get things right. It's not going to be right out the gate. It's probably not going to be right tomorrow, but just moving in that direction of more engaged and better AI. Adjusted the detection speed settings for AI PMCs. Now they detect enemies 20% faster than regular bots. So basically the PMCs in PvE are going to detect you faster than the, I'm guessing, scavs, rogues, raiders, stuff like that. AI PMCs now also switch to single fire at long ranges. At close ranges, they will switch to full auto if possible. This is something that we saw in PvP, so now they're adding it to the PMCs on PvE. Like I said, this is the first time we've seen a lot of stuff that PvE actually got a lot of its own attention versus Tarkov, which I know is really good for you guys. You guys have been wanting that to try to get your experience with PvP as close to par as you can with PvP. Obviously, it's not going to always, it's not ever going to get there, but better than some of the weird stuff that goes on right now. Regular bots no longer take cover in vegetation. This is so good. In the wintertime, it wasn't too big of a deal because you could usually still see them. But I have literally run straight into bots and trees that I didn't know were there, or in bushes because they hide in the bush and you just face punch them practically, and you're like, oh god, there's a bot in here, and then they head eyes you with shotgun shells, which sucks. Bots can no longer see through vegetation unless an enemy is very close to them. Didn't get a chance to really test any of this out. This one we may test, play around with, test it, see how this actually works, because it wasn't, I did have a couple of good interactions where I was able to use bushes and shrubs to break AI's line of sight. There's some maps that, like, you put a bush between them, but the bush stops at like their nose so their eyes can see over it, and I think that means they can see over it because they were still shooting, which sucks. But we'll have to wait and see how this all pans out, especially something like this where they can't see through vegetation. Apparently they could see through vegetation if you weren't close to them, because they changed it. That's what it was before. So just more playing and figuring out how it feels. Bot vision is reduced if they are inside the vegetation. So interesting how that'll work out. Just a parameter change on the bot's detection radius if they're inside a bush. Things like this make me worry about performance on the game. One of the things that does make the server struggle is AI. It's one thing BSG's always been trying to push up and dial back, and they push it too far and then you can't play streets, and then they pull it back and then you can play streets, but streets is empty, which is kind of where we're at now. So just kind of have to wait and see what these impacts have on performance. Now into the fixes. Fixed an issue where a bot with a shotgun or pistol would not take cover if the enemy was at a long distance. This is such a good change. It is so annoying that you shoot at a shotgun scav walking down the street on like woods, and he's 150 meters away from you, and he just starts blasting at you with a shotgun standing in the middle of the street when he should be taking cover or running away or something. So this will be a cool thing. This will be a good change. I'm eager to see how well it works. Hopefully it does. Fixed an issue where bots would not react to the noise source, to noise sources. This is always weird. There's a lot of stuff where bots, they know exactly where you're at, and it's based on the sound you make. It's not necessarily because they can see you. They do see you. We're talking about computer code, not bots actually visually seeing stuff, but they key on your exact location based on audio and things like that. Like if you shoot a gun and you're on the 3rd floor of a building in streets, the scavs will run right to you. It's annoying, but that's how it works. So as far as them not reacting to noise sources, I'm not sure what this is. I guess maybe sometimes they ignored them or they just didn't trigger them. So they'll be more reactive to it. So be cautious of that. If you're making noises, bots are going to come check it out now. Fixed an issue where bots would spawn near PMCs at the start of a raid. I saw a couple of clips of this. I didn't have it happen to me, thank God, but there's a bug where you'd spawn in and literally have like 4 scavs around you, shooting you as you spawned in. So that's a good fix. Fixed an issue where a bot would remain in vegetation after taking damage. Saw this a couple of times. Again, with some of the other changes they made up here, probably not going to be all that big of a deal. Fixed an issue where a bot would switch firing mode too often when the distance to the enemy changed. Sure. Fixed several instances in which a bot would walk through a closed door. We'll see if it's actually fixed. Been seeing lots of this for a long time. I know they're working through different problems. It's not just one problem causing this. There's multiple problems that cause the same thing. They got a couple of them fixed in the last patch. Fingers crossed they're all fixed now, so bots don't just surprise you and, you know, ignore doors like they're the Silver Surfer or something like that. Fixed several issues that caused glass to render incorrectly in certain cases. I didn't notice anything like this to me. Not sure what this is, other than maybe sometimes glass is broken when it's not, or it's not broken when it is. Hard to say. Fixed an issue where the RSP flares would not glow after being fired. So this is your green flares, your red flares, your yellow flares, all of the flares. You shoot them and there was no light. So it's a good fix. They still worked, but I think a lot of people thought, like, for example, the green flare extract didn't work because they couldn't see the green flare. But I did it, it worked. So that's a good fix. Fixed several issues that caused the main game monitor to detect it incorrectly. This has been a problem for years. I haven't had it recently, but I've had it happen before. And I know a lot of people fight this every day sometimes. So hopefully it's actually fixed. And the monitor, your game doesn't just magically move to another monitor on you. But we'll see. Fix the, I'm laughing about this, and watch this, like, actually, because it hasn't been happening to me. This fix is going to make it happen to me now or something. Watch. I shouldn't have laughed at it. I can see it coming. Fix the ability to shoot the MTS 255 shotgun while mounted. Weird, but okay. Fix the ability to transfer an equipped dog tag to the sorting table. Fix the incorrect trading UI when buying items with 7 or more cells in length. Fix the cause of the inability to open containers in stash. In certain cases, items that did not fit in the stash after opening the container will now end up on the sorting table when you re-enter the character screen. One of those edge cases where if you're doing a lot of weird shit in your stash, things would go haywire. Fix several incorrect conditions on the Gunsmith task series. And then fix the case of missing rewards in the Cultist Circle in certain cases. Again, you could end up, and I think somebody had said they tracked down when this happened, but I can't remember what it was exactly. But there was still rarely a case where your Cultist Circle would be empty. I've only had it happen once this wipe. It was my very first one I did this wipe. Other than that, I haven't had an empty Cultist Circle, thankfully, but I know other people still have been. So hopefully this actually finally puts a nail in the coffin on that, and that bug is gone. Fix the missing weapon reload animations in certain cases. After clicking the Cultist Circle notification, you will automatically switch to the Cultist Circle hideout zone. Various fixes and improvements to localization of interface items and tasks. Fix the known issue where a player would get teleported from the edge of certain surfaces. I don't know if this is exactly what I hope it is. I'm hoping this is where some of the weird rubber banding and shit that happens or bumps you around on certain weird places on the maps. Not even weird places, just different places on the map. So hopefully that is fixed and no longer the case, because it's really annoying, and it's really annoying. So hopefully that's fixed. But that is all the patch notes, but we still have a couple of things for you here. First off, Sergey Dominovich posted a picture of a key case. Now, if you wonder who, I call him Dom, buddy of mine, senior game designer, Battle State. I've known him for years, before he worked at Battle State. But He is sharing a picture of the key case. He says the real question is, how many slots should it have? This is kind of engagement farming. I'm sure they probably already know, but it was cool to see. My guess is by the size of this, it's probably going to be a 2x3, kind of like the money case. It might be a 2x2, who knows? But I'm expecting a 2x3, and I'm looking for it to have probably somewhere between like 80 and 100 slots. It's not going to be insane. I know there's a lot of people commenting things. So I said 3 sit cases, right? Because it's 3 slots, which that's 75, but you can't do 75. So like you can go like 9x9 is 81, or you could go 8x10 and be 80, or 10x10 and be 100, whatever. Some folks, this guy comment right here, and this is a real comment. He says, if you're using sick pouches, you might as well stick them in rigs. So true parity is a bit over 5-1, not 3-1. I don't care about this thing. Shouldn't be some crazy, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, and oh my god, I went to the wrong spot here. This is kind of along the lines of a money case and wallets, right? There's things you can do with wallets and stick them inside cases, inside other cases, and end up with more than you can do for a money case. The problem is you've got to go through like 3 layers of windows to put money in anything. I like the money case because I can just drag and drop. I don't have to go through 5 windows and hunt through 33 wallets to figure out what spot I can drop money in. It's kind of the same thing here, right? This is just gonna be an easy case. In my mind, it's gonna be a case that bridges you from basically before you can afford a bunch of sick cases and dock cases, if you ever get to that point. But like for me, by the end of the wipe, I've got 5 or 6 sick cases. I have 1 for each map, so I can just swap things out real quick. But that's me. Most people don't get that far. So the key case is going to be to fill that gap between when you have a lot of dock cases and sick cases and when you don't. Something easy to drop keys into, so you don't have to put them in a rig. You can keep track of them. Things like that. Again, this is my opinion. I don't know what BSG is actually going to do with this, but I've seen a lot of comments about like being able to put sick cases and dock cases in it. Like this is a key case. This isn't a case. If we already have a case that you can stick sick cases and dock cases, and it's called the item case, and I use it all. That's what I use. I keep all my stuff like that in an items case. It works great. This is meant to hold keys, so I guess we'll see. What they end up doing with it, what we can put in there. It's going to be nice to have either way. Just a nice clean place to throw keys that you don't have to worry about. Or, you know, if you're trying to sell or just try to clean up your stash, we all know as you find keys, they can take up a ton of space, and you start throwing them in rigs, then you lose them, and you're like, oh god, I know I have that 216 key somewhere, but you can't find it, and you don't have the flea market unlocked yet. And anyways, good addition, hopefully soon. I don't know when. This kind of stuff, like, it's probably already done, but BSG likes to kind of throw in stuff like this content with content patches, so just have to wait and see. Also, another quick, nice quality of life change they made that you might not have realized is you can take your paracord and put it into one of your special slots now. It was, when they made the changes to the flares, a lot of people asked for the paracord. It's not something, I don't want to say it's a bad change. It's a good quality of life change. I know people like it. I think it was part of the risk of taking the paracord extract, as you had to decide if you wanted a paracord in your secure container, if you wanted to take it out, was it worth more than your CMS? Whatever it was a player choice. I preferred it that way. Now it's just safe in your extra slot, which means you don't have to worry about forgetting it, which I did do. It makes the game a little bit easier. Take it or leave it if that's what you want or not. But at the end of the day, you can take your paracord and put it in your special slots now. Okay, now last up is an arena update, and this is an important one. Stick with me here. Even if you're not an arena person, you're going to want to hear some of the stuff in here because it's some changes a lot of us have been asking for since they launched arena back in, what was it, 2023, December 2023. Yeah, some stuff that is in here is big for that. So they did a whole, I'm not going to go into the details of patch notes of this. I'm going to kind of skim over stuff. They cleaned up the maps and the lighting to make players more visible. So some of the visual elements and lighting and stuff, just to make it easier to see people. Some places it looks good. Some places I don't really like it because it looks wonky. Just kind of have to wait and see. And I'm sure they're going to do some more tuning to it. But they're also doing optimizations to make the game run better, which is better across the board for everybody. The big one is that they changed armbands. So now if you're always blue, the enemy is always red, which At first, when they did this, I was kind of like, it's kind of cool. It's annoying. It's Tarkov. But then the more you play, you're like, this is just dumb. It needs to always be blue for competitive shooting. You know, this is a competitive shooter. This whole idea of guessing who your teammate is just, it's not fun. Let's just put it that way. It's just not fun. This is a great change. It also applies to the announcer voice lines, which is great if you understand Russian. I don't understand Russian, so if he says that there's checkpoints captured by the red team, I probably won't even know he said it, but he says it now, so that's good. They made some map adjustments. They've done some stuff like that. I'm not going to get into detail of it, other than they removed Sawmill. Sawmill was removed from selection in ranked, unranked, and custom game modes so that they can adjust it. I haven't played that map in over a year. Even if you wanted to play it, you can't get matches on it because nobody liked playing it. So we'll see what comes of it once they readjust it. And then lastly, they added a temporary buff for both last hero game mode and checkpoint. Basically, when you spawn in, you get 3 seconds of immunity to all bleeding. It adds health regeneration and reduces incoming damage by 50%. This effect is removed immediately when the player fires a weapon. So this is just going to help you from getting spawn camped so bad, which can happen in last hero, or just getting before your feet even hit the ground. Because if you're like me, you hit space and you jump when you spawn in, and you jump, and yeah, anyways, you die before your feet hit the ground. And so this will help with that a little bit. It's also applied to checkpoint in your spawn area. So you can get spawn, as any game that is like this that has spawn areas, it tends to happen, whether it's Call of Duty or whatever. You can you get this same application in your respawn zone, and if you leave the respawn zone and go back into it, it reapplies it, but also it is removed immediately when the player fires a weapon. How this exactly works when you're standing in the zone, does it like turn off when you're shooting and turn back on when you quit? I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what happens there without a little bit of testing. Anyways, added objective capture count, match score, and match timer widgets to the tab interface. And then there's just general improvements to performance and some rubber banding stuff. So that is all for the arena patch. All right, we'll wrap her up there. Hopefully I didn't go too long on this. The patch notes always kind of drag out, but I appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope it was helpful. Hope you're listening to this. Hope you're having a good day, even if it's a Monday and you're at work. It's spring break for me and my kids, so my sanity is going to be tested this week. But that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you as always. Don't forget to that like and subscribe button. Lets YouTube know you want to see the content, so you see it when it comes out, and it helps me out. As always, I wish you guys the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.